Our presentations are supposed to be on relating logistics to our future profession. My future profession is going to be social work, ideally. I want to do something along those lines. So logistics is kind of hard to relate, even though it relates really to every aspect of our lives. But I decided to do something else that was close to me and I found interesting. My sister and brother-in-law are small business owners here in Arizona, and they own tattoo shops. So I thought, why not look into the logistics of a tattoo, because so many people have them. So the supplies that are needed are pretty immense for a tattoo. Of course, you need needles and you need ink. You need sharps containers to put the needles into. You have to have tattoo machines. You can see two in the photo to the right. You have to have sterile cleaning solutions, paper towels, ink caps, tubes, stencil papers, gloves. You have to keep everything sterile in the shop so that people don't get infections. So I looked into how ink is made for a tattoo, and the FDA regulates tattoo ink, but they do not require them to post the ingredients that are in the ink. So I did a little research and I found that they're made in many different ways. They can be made from mineral salts, plastic, mineral oils, vegetable dyes, and a lot of heavy metals are used in inks. They're heated and blended together, and then they're packaged and sent to the warehouse or straight to the tattoo artist when the order comes in. So at the tattoo shop, it's most common for each artist to be in charge of their own ordering. They don't have a room for inventory, so they order their ink as it's needed. They have it shipped to them. In this picture, you can see that there's different colors of ink: yellow, blue, green, and it comes in those small containers. So the needles that are used for tattooing are all surgical stainless steel. You can see a picture of them there. They're in a blister pack. They have a one-time use life, and then they're disposed of into a sharps container. And then the most common tattoo needle that's used are round tips. So they're stainless steel, and then when they're made, they're sterilized and they're put into those blister packs, which are sealed so that no contamination can come in and they remain sterile. Because if you were to obviously use something that had germs, you could give somebody a really bad infection. You got to make sure that everything stays clean in a tattoo shop. So how do they get from the needles being made and the ink being made, which are made at two separate locations, to the tattoo artist to be used? Here's a photo of my brother-in-law giving a tattoo. You can see he has a tattoo machine, the needles, the ink he's being used, the tubes. You can see the paper towel underneath. He's wearing gloves. So all the tattoo artists are in charge of their own stock and inventory. The owners don't have a room full of supplies for them to use. They have to stay on top of their own needs. If they run out of something, they could borrow from another tattoo artist, but you really don't want to do that. In order to save money, they will do group orders so that shipping is less whenever they can. They order all their medical supplies from a company in town called the Microvac. It's a local place. They can get all of their medical supplies, like their gloves, their sterile cleaning solutions, things like that that are necessary. And then for the rest of their supplies, their needles and ink, they usually do from CAM Supplies. With CAM Supply, you can choose your distribution center. They have them in California, Kentucky, Canada, United Kingdoms. And then the UPS will deliver from the warehouse to the tattoo shop. UPS is a preferred method for delivery. They utilize different modes of transportation. If you go on their website, you can see that they use trains and trucks, and then they also do air shipments and water. For such a short distance from California to Arizona, I predict that they mainly use trucks to get the inks and tattoos from the distribution center to the tattoo shop. So in summary, I would say it's important to know that every tattoo artist is in charge of their own supply chain. They have to make sure they have everything that's needed at all times. They can't keep it in a room inventory. They don't have a warehouse, so they get together and they do group rates because shipping is expensive because they're always constantly ordering. They need a lot of supplies for a single tattoo. I think after doing this research that it would be wise for them to keep some, even just a small room of inventory, if each tattoo artist could have their own space, because they seem to be spending so much on shipping because they're constantly making new orders. Because they have to keep up with the demand. They say between the holidays are really slow, but the rest of the time they're usually extremely busy. And so here's a list of my references. I got some information online, and I also did a personal interview with the owner, my brother-in-law, who gave me a lot of inside information about tattooing.